slow down, slow down. There's a plane over you. So even though I run my own rallies, I still go on one of my favorite ones. It's called goldRush Rally. And we're a sponsor from Chicago Motor Cars. So every year I kind of look forward to going, meeting our friends that we go with and meeting all the people that we've met over the years. So I'm like, all right, it's going to be fun. So the first half, it's from Miami to Chicago and Chicago to Texas. And there's obviously a bunch of cities in between. I drive with Perrin and Performante that was wrapped in like a dark whitish gray color and kind of gold bronze. It looked like rust. Car looked beautiful if you knew what you were looking at, but for most people, if you saw it, you kind of didn't pay too much attention because it was kind of just a bland looking wrap. Going to Chicago, we didn't get pulled over once. And I'm like, okay, this is a good start. And one thing on rallies that you want to remember is your goal is to get from city to city, no tickets, not get arrested, don't damage your car, and just be safe, and get to where you need to go. So I'm like, okay, this is off to a good start. We're having fun. We're with our friends. We're enjoying each city. Finally, a couple days goes by, we get to Chicago. And now it's my turn. If I continue to go on the next leg of goldRush, I would have to drive one of my cars. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to drive my McLaren 570S. Got a full Vorsteiner body kit on there. It's got a custom Senna hood on there. Just a bunch of cool stuff that you would see on a McLaren. One thing is I didn't wrap my car. And it's Mantis green, which is a bright lime green. And it's not my favorite color, but, it is what the car is. I don't think we got out of Illinois before I got pulled over the first time. And I was like, okay, this is a little odd. Like all these other cars are around us. And I'm looking and I'm like, man, everybody's cars are like stealth wrapped. They're matte grays, matte blacks, and they have these camouflage wraps on there where you can't really tell what kind of car it is. And I mean, they stand out because we know what we're looking at, but for maybe other people, they don't notice it as much. So we're just driving from city to city, and I think I was getting pulled over every few hours. And I was like, what the heck's going on here? Every officer who pulled me over said the same thing. They were like, hey, we got a phone call that a bright green Lamborghini was speeding by. I'm like, well, this is not a Lamborghini. And, they said, this is what we got the call on. So I'm like, all right, no problem. So we're driving city to city. And at this point, I probably got pulled over 4 or 5 times within the first 2 or 3 days. And I haven't gotten any tickets yet. So I'm like, this is good, right? Like, it's one thing to have interaction with the law, but it's another thing to have good interaction where they let you go. And most officers are pretty nice when they pull you over. They want you to be safe. And they said, just get out of our city or get out of our state. And so we're kind of going through, and we're going through Iowa next. We have our radios with us, so we're talking on like a 2-way radio, but they only work from a mile or so away. So if you lose connection with some people, like your cell phones don't work in these areas, right? So we're driving along, and we're on these back roads because we're staying off the main highway because we're already getting calls that on the police scanners that there was roadblocks ahead, officers waiting because there's 100+ cars driving through here. It doesn't take long before the local authorities get tipped off. So I'm driving on this small 2-lane highway, and we come into this small town. So it drops from 55 down to 25. And this officer just happened to have his radar on. He was sitting right on the side of the road in a gas station, just waiting for us to go right over that hill that we would have never seen him at. And I'm the first lead car, like I usually am. So I get pulled over. I pull over onto the road. I have no cell phone service. None at all. Everybody passes me, kind of waves, takes pictures of me just because, it's our fun thing that we do when somebody gets pulled over. You kind of make fun of them later. So I'm sitting with the officer on the side of the road. He's asking me what kind of car this is because I don't have any logos on my car. They're all removed to say URR on it. And he's like, what is this? And I'm trying to explain to him. And he's like, spell McLaren, and I'm trying to explain that. And 20, 30 minutes goes by. So I'm at a pretty good distance away from my guys in front of me, all right? And we're in a little pack, and we stay with our 10 guys. He goes, hey, you know what? You're free to go. Be safe and just kind of slow down. But catch up safely to your friends. Little did he know that my friends were 20, 30 minutes ahead of me. And I'm like, there's no way to catch up safely. So I'm driving along. We're going at a safe speed. And I don't have any cell phone service or radio service. So I can't talk to anybody. And I'm looking around. I'm like, this is almost too quiet. It's a little suspicious of how quiet this road was. So we're going. And all of a sudden, I finally get cell phone service. And my phone's ringing. And the passenger I had, her phone was ringing. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And all I hear is, slow down, slow down. There's a plane over you. I'm like, what do you mean there's a plane over me? And I'm trying to look around, and in a sports car, you don't really have much visibility. You have the windshield, you have your side windows, and you can't really see out the back. So I finally look to my right, and I see a plane level with us, just following along with us. And I'm like, all right, what do I do? And I'm on the phone with him, and he's like, they're on the scanners. He's like, they're going to arrest you. You were going so fast that they couldn't catch up to you, or their plane couldn't keep up with you. And I said, well, maybe there's something wrong with their plane if it just can't go that fast. And, finally, I just pull over right away. I'm like, all right, I already knew the officers were coming. I'll wait for them. So I pull over. I see an officer coming my way, turns around, turns his lights on. He thanks me for stopping and him not having to chase me. And I'm like, I would have never ran from the police. You obviously have an airplane, so I couldn't go anywhere. So we kind of joke around, and he kind of says to me, hey, that airplane said that their plane stops at 150 miles an hour and they couldn't keep up with you. I don't know about that. That doesn't even make sense. I don't know if my car even goes 150 miles an hour. And he kind of chuckles at me and goes, this car goes over 150 miles an hour. Our plane couldn't keep up with you. What would you like me to do, officer? And he said, well, I'm going to have to write you a citation. I said, okay, what speed are you writing me at? And he's like, at 111 miles an hour and a 55. And I said, where'd you come up with that number? And he's like, it's double the speed limit. He's like, that's what they think that you were going. I said, just a minute ago, you said I was going over 150. And he's like, just be happy I wrote you for 111. So he wrote me the ticket, and he was on his way, and we started going off. And I think I got caught up to our friends probably within that next hour. And I think I got pulled over 3 more times over that next 48 hours. And luckily that was the only ticket I received for that. But 9 times being pulled over on goldRush because of my color of my car. And now I wrapped it matte black, so I don't have to worry about this anymore. And I'm hoping that maybe the officers don't see me anymore. So in case you didn't know, the way the airplane is actually tracking your speed is not with a radar or laser, because I have laser and radar jammers in my car, so I would have heard of it. And I asked the officer, and he's like, they're actually pacing you with a stopwatch. And there's actually lines in the road, and it would calculate how long it takes from to get from line A to line B. And if that distance divided by your speed equals that you're going, whatever, 111 miles an hour, which to me, I think his finger was a little off, but that's just me. By getting pulled over so much, obviously, throughout those few days, there was a couple pullovers that didn't make sense, right? One point, I was driving with about 10 or 12 cars, and we pull up to like a toll booth, and I have an iPass, and there's no gate, so I just kind of stopped and went on my way, not really thinking of it. And I saw the attendant kind of reach out to kind of like ask for money, and at the time, I'm like, oh, I have an iPass. What's the big deal? We're in Iowa. iPass should work here. And so I start driving, and my friends are all with us, and we're about 10, 15 miles away from that toll booth. And there's an officer waiting there, and we're using Waze, and we're using anti-police measures just to see where everybody is, and we're communicating with other people on the rally that can see where cops are. So this officer's sitting on the side of the road, and everybody's like, hey, highway marker 121. There's an officer waiting. We're going. We all get to the right lane, pass him at a normal speed. He turns around to come out after us. And I think I want to say I'm the 3rd car in out of this pack. And I'm like, all right, well, I wasn't speeding. If anything, it's going to be the first guy or the last guy. And he kind of passes along everybody. And everybody's like, all right, we're on the radio. Pass me, not coming for me, not coming for me. And finally stops at me. And he kind of like looks at me, slows down, turns his lights on, and he pulls me over. And I hear everybody laughing because they're like, the green car again, because everybody else's cars are black, grays, and whites. So I pull over, and I'm like, officer, I know I wasn't speeding. He goes, I didn't pull you over for speeding. He goes, do you remember that toll booth over on the turnpike? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you owe them $1.75. I'm like, all right. And so I reach in my pocket. He's like, no, I can't take cash from you. He goes, come with me to my car. So he pulls me out of my car, sits me in the front seat of his car, and asks me for a credit card, and calls the girl at the toll booth on her cell phone, from his cell phone, and gives her my credit card number to charge me $1.75 for the toll booth. So all my friends were way ahead of us at this point again, because this took 15, 20 minutes. So now I'm playing catch up, and luckily I caught up to them without having to worry about seeing any other officers. But other than that officer was pretty generally happy and nice, and he was kind of jokingly said to me, he's like, I figured you could afford the toll. Driving on these rallies is, it's fun. It's for a good cause usually, and it kind of gives you a reason to get out there and enjoy your cars. Sometimes some of these guys enjoy their cars a little too much. Well, there was a guy with us on goldRush that didn't have a co-pilot, and at the time, I guess I found out, lost his cell phone the day before. So he was by himself in a car, no radio, no cell phone, no co-pilot, just driving with us. He must have been going 150, 160 miles an hour, flew past another officer that was already pulled over on the side of the road with another goldRusher, and they left that goldRusher, jumped in their car, caught up to this Porsche, pull him over, and obviously arrest him. They leave his car inside the road, but nobody can get a hold of him because he doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't have any way to get a hold of anybody. And on top of it, he's a new person at the rally. So he's not really friends with anybody. So nobody knows how to get a hold of this guy. All they can do is go park next to his car, wait, make sure they don't tow it, and then also go to the police station where he is and say, hey, this guy got arrested. Can we bond him out? So he was lucky enough to have a couple guys go over to the police station, bond him out, and they were able to get his car, and he was able to make it the rest of the rally. But after seeing that, anybody can get arrested. So it's not really worth speeding at excessive speeds. It's just rather be safe and smooth than be fast and reckless.
This month's car stories are sponsored by The Ridge. The Ridge makes a line of wallets and bags that are designed to be minimalist and help us just take with us the things we actually need. So check out the link in the description below for a discount and buy one for yourself, or they make great Christmas presents. And be sure to let them know how thankful you are for their support of VINwiki.